Welcome to this topic video on JSX. So this is an introduction to JSX. What are we going to get out of this? We're going to understand that JSX is an extension to JavaScript. It's not HTML, though it may look a little bit like that, which is a good thing. Understand and be able to include expressions in JSX elements. Use JavaScript to conditionally render JSX and understand how important that is, and understand that's coming from JavaScript. It's not coming from JSX. Okay. And very importantly, use JavaScript's arrays and their methods in combination with JSX. Okay. All that JavaScript stuff we've been using, we're going to apply in the React context. Okay, so what is JSX? JSX is a syntax extension to JavaScript particular to React. Other things like Vue and Angular take an alternative approach where they use template mechanisms. Okay, it feels a bit like templates with variable substitution. Okay, so in that sense, it's kind of like techniques we'll see elsewhere. Okay, but instead of adding code to HTML, we're going to add HTML-like syntax to our code. Okay, this gives us the full power of JavaScript in creating and modifying web pages, or what we would then start calling web apps, right? What's the difference between a web page and a web app? Don't ask me. How much JavaScript and how much does it sing and dance? Okay, readings. Introducing JSX. JSX in depth. These are both from the React folks. Okay, and this is a good overview article. JSX looks like an abomination, but it's good for you. Okay, so a simple example. Okay, simple JSX expression looks like the following. Some kind of variable here equals, look at this. Now there's nothing in JavaScript that quite looks like this. Okay, no syntax like this in JavaScript. Okay, this looks kind of like XML-ish, HTML-ish stuff. Okay, we've got an opening tag and a closing tag. Okay, this is JSX. JSX expressions get compiled via our bundler and another tool called Babel.js, which the bundler hides from us, okay, into JavaScript. It's just all JavaScript and will become just JavaScript, okay? No other magic here. Okay? They're letting us work with something that looks like HTML, XML right in our JavaScript, but it gets turned into just good old JavaScript when it's done, okay? We can embed JavaScript expressions into JSX with braces. Okay, so here I've got this function that computes a random wind speed. Every time you call it, it produces random wind speed between 0 and 25 miles per hour. Okay, here I've got a variable, mySail equals 6.6. Okay, here is a JSX expression. Here's the opening. Here's the closing. Oh, look at this. Paragraph. Kind of like a paragraph. Sailing on my brace. Sail substitution in here. Okay, closing brace. Okay, so we can do simple variable substitution, but look at this. Next P, the wind speed is brace function call to get the wind speed to fixed, another function call on the return number to provide us a string with one significant digit. Okay, the 1 down to the 10 miles per hour. Okay, so we can put expressions that evaluate to a number, a string, or whatever in here, including, we'll see we can actually compose these things. Okay, so JSX, a JSX expression like we just saw, gets turned into a JavaScript object. It's like everything in the world in this world gets turned into JavaScript objects, right? All data can be represented by JSON, right? Okay, so after compilation, JSX expressions become regular JavaScript objects. What does this mean? You can use JSX inside of if statements and for loops, assign it to variables, assign it as arguments to functions, and return it from functions. Okay, we can use it just any place we'd use a JavaScript object. Okay, so some of the issues with understanding how to get the most out of React stem from we don't understand, we forget that React says, you know, we're going to add this feature, okay, and then use the full power of the JavaScript language. It's not going to sit there and say, you must do this thing. You only get these constructs, like in some templating languages, right? You get a funny looking for loop. No, we get the full power of JavaScript because JSX expressions, I know that they look like HTML, get turned into JavaScript objects that represent those things, which we can then use, okay? We can put it in arrays, we can compose them, etc. Okay, so let's see this in action. Okay, so let's go to, I'm on my branch, JSX1, my examples. Okay, I'm going to go parcel, index, because that's everything, and HTML. Okay, let's review while that's warming up. Let's review what we got in here. So we got index HTML. Okay, that's just my React app. Oh, it pulls in index.js. We go look at index.js. What's it got in it now? Imports React, imports the React DOM. Right, we use the React DOM here to start the whole thing. Okay, now look at this. Oh, a JSX expression. Looks like H1s. A function call. Here we have the variable. Okay, look at this. Report div sailing on my substituting the sail. P, the wind speed is, making that function call back here. That's a random thing, so every time we call this, we get, oh, look at this. Section. We're going to render a section, and inside it, we take the intro, this JS expression itself, and put it in here in braces to pull this in here. So we can compose these expressions together via the same variable substitution that we were using for things like simple numbers, like 6.6 here, or this strings after this gets converted to tenths of miles per hour. We can compose things. Oh, that means we don't have to have big floppy messes of stuff all over the place. We can break things down into the intro and such. Now, let's go back over. Okay, that initial build took 5 seconds. Like I said, updates are real quick. The initial builds take a little bit of time. Let's go take a look at it. Okay, localhost. I run lots of different things on localhost, different ports, but this is going to be it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sailing on my 6.6. Now, once again, I'm going to have the network open so you can see that. Let's reload this. The wind speed should change. Ooh, got really small. And we can see that we did a call. We did a call again to our server. Okay. Went and got things again. So it reloads the page. Every time we reload the page, we get a different wind speed. Okay, because it's doing a random function. A random, it's calling a random variable generator once every time we set up the page. Okay, so we're able to compose things together. This wasn't a separate expression from this and this. And we grouped them all together. Okay, with variable substitution. Okay, so we can put any expression in those things, pretty much. We can put in plain numbers, strings, and more JSX. Okay, so combining JSX expressions, powerful stuff, because we're going to want to break things up into pieces. Why would you ever do that, Professor? Okay, Conditional rendering. Conditional rendering. What does this mean? Let's take a look. Same wind speed generator. Okay. We've got a little intro again. We got let the wind equals wind speed. Oh, look at this. If wind is greater than 12, intro equals go sailing. Otherwise, it says hello website development. Oh, so we're going to change what we show in the intro here. We're going to set intro equal to that. Otherwise, then we're going to calculate one of these random values for wind speed. If the wind is greater than 12, intro equals go sailing. We're going to change that value. Now we're going to create this report. The wind speed is. Now what we're going to have, I'll put it all together. A section with an intro, the report, and section. The intro varies depending on what the wind speed is. Let's check this out. Literally, let's check it out. Okay. Get, check it out, JSX 1.1. Parcel, build it. Oh, less than 2 seconds to build it. Okay, let's reload the page. The wind speed is 8 miles per hour. The wind speed is 1.9. I'm going to keep clicking this until we see a change. Seems like the wind speed gets lower and lower. Now, finally, above 12, go sailing. We should render a different thing. This is really, really cool. You're going, Professor, this is really, really lame. You just changed a couple of things. What's the big deal? I can do this with JavaScript, just vanilla JavaScript. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. C-Source. This is an application I wrote for CS-oriented audience response system to my students. What's happening here when I click this? Oh, we're getting a whole new page from the... No, we're not. We're not getting a new page from the website. Huh. I go over to send a question. Nothing's changing up here. Oh, this is one big React app. Depending on what I click here, I get shown different things. This is all done via conditional rendering. It's not some magical windowed app thing. I've got a piece up here that shows like a control panel or a control bar or menu bar. But what I'm showing as I click things, I'm rendering different things based on what's been clicked. So I'm keeping some state saying, oh, he wants to admin course. I'm going to show him that stuff, that component. That's the same thing I'm doing here. Very simplified, right? Okay, depending on the condition of the wind, depending on what things are happening at the app, okay, I show something different, okay? Was this using something major from JSX? No, it's really taking advantage of JavaScript, but JavaScript has this full power, okay? I used a simple if statement here. What do you think I use in this big app over here? Okay, in this big app, yeah, I have a big switch statement. I told you we're going to get the switch statements. We didn't use them much. Okay, we didn't use them yet. Okay, I told you JavaScript has all that good stuff. Okay. So, that's second concept. First thing we had was the substitution and the composition, right? Okay, I could take the report. I could take the report and stick it in the section using the same method that I used to put, simple variables into. Okay, composition. Now I can decide what to show based on current conditions, or what we might call state. Okay. Arrays and loops. Okay. We like arrays. Arrays are good. Okay. Since a JSX expression gets turned into a JS object, we can put them, okay? We can put them into JavaScript arrays. Okay, that's good. You said that before. Okay, this next one's really important. Kind of hidden in the React literature. React will render an array of JSX expression like a bunch of HTML elements that come one after another. You don't have to do anything to do that. Okay? If you have an array of JSX expressions and you put that array name in for the composition substitution thing, it's gonna work with that and know that you want to render those as a bunch of HTML elements. Okay? We don't need to do something extra there. Okay? Now, for this extra power that React's giving us with these arrays, for efficiency, we need to help React by giving each array element a unique key. Okay? React's got some algorithms underneath it that help render things very efficiently. Don't need to worry about those right now. Okay? But to help them do that, we got to be able to help them tell different parts of an array apart. Okay? Did you update this thing? Okay? So let's take a look. Okay? First, let me shut down and rebuild this guy because we're going to go to branch JSX2. Get, check out JSX. Okay, and of course, we'll ask parcel to build things again. Okay, single JSX element. Once again, we've got the intro thing. Now look at this. Content equals start of an array, and then I put one of these JSX expression thingy-wingies right in it. And another one. Okay. I gave each one a key. Okay. This is not an attribute value in HTML. This is a React thing, right? Because this isn't HTML, it's JSX. Okay. It's an extension to JavaScript. Okay. But it looks and behaves like HTML, so it allows us to do things we're familiar with. It's easy to take a bunch of web elements and put them into places. Okay. So I gave each one of these things a unique key. Okay. But these don't have to be the same thing. Here's a paragraph. Here's a paragraph. Here's an H2. Here's a footer. Okay. It's an array. Okay. Each one gets a different key. Then I say section, intro, substitute the intro up here. Substitute content. Wait. Content's an array of things. Don't we have to render each array piece? No. They will see this is an array, and if every element of the array is a JSX item, they'll know what to do with it in rendering one after another. Okay, let's take a look. Let's take a look. Did we remember to... Oh, we're running. Come over to here. Click return. Oh, all our array pieces are there. Let's take a look just with with our inspector. Okay, what do we have? We got the div. We got the section. Hello. Just looks like just like what we put in. All that key stuff is actually hidden from us. We don't see it showing up here. Oh, that's for React's business. Okay, once again, up in the head, we saw our bundler put together our CSS. Then we see down here where we said it put in some JavaScript, and then it's got some help for JavaScript here. Okay, good. Oops, I shouldn't have shut that. Okay. Now, you remember, or maybe you don't, I've got really into the JavaScript array methods. In particular, I really liked using map and for each and filter and things like that. This is going to be particularly handy when we want to take stuff from JavaScript objects, okay, and turn those into collections of HTML elements. Okay, we use map when you want to transform everything in an array to something new in another array. Use filter when you're trying to select only those things that match some criteria. Okay, so let's see an example. And this is, we've got a bunch of data. So look at that. Okay, I'm only showing a little bit of it, but we've got their net IDs, their first name, their last name, their email, their passwords. Professor, you're showing me students' passwords. Yes, I am, because these students don't exist. This is data generated by a mock data generator. Okay, I tell it that I want to generate some kind of ID code for my student that has 2 letters and 4 digits. I tell them that I want a first name and a last name and an email and generate a password. These are not real students. They don't exist. We need mock data, but it's JSON data. So let's try. Let's go to a new branch. Okay. So let's see. JSX get JSX3. Okay, let's take a look right in the code. Okay, a little ugly here. Take a look what we imported. So, what am I going to do? Oh, what's this? What's this going to do? Oh, way back when we talked about bundlers and when we talked about imports, okay, we said that it's not standard JavaScript, but most bundlers, you can import JSON and it'll take that and turn it straight into a JavaScript object or an array. So what I'm doing is I'm importing my practice data. Okay, I can have a big JSON file full of practice data, fake students, fake customers, whatever. Have a generator generate a big thing. Then I have a bunch of data that I can take a look at. Okay, students JSON. Oh, this is way bigger than that little sample I showed you in the slides. Okay, yeah, of course it is. We got to have something to do something with. Okay, so what are we going to do with this now? Our coding log. Oh, console log members. Okay. Did I remember to restart the? No, I did not. Get. Okay, so let's start our parcel bundler. Okay, let me go here to localhost 1234. All right, our coding club. Okay, let's go to the console. The first thing I did was to make sure that whole import thing worked correctly. Okay, I imported that data of 35 students. I can see that. Okay, then I right after I did that, I console logged it. Console logged it? We're in React. Yeah, we're in React running in a browser. Okay, so this console log right here is just our normal console log. This is just JavaScript. We are using imports, so we're using a bundler to help us. Console log still works. Oh, now, look at this. We've got an array full of members for our coding club. Club I just invented, yes. Okay, how did we do this? So we have this data, which is an array full of objects, common pattern. We want to turn that into a bunch of rows in a table. Okay, how do we do that? Oh, we use the map function. Members, an array, we use the map function. It's going to take it's going to go through every element in the array and transform it in somehow and stick it in a new array that we call rows. What's that going to do here? Okay, remember with map, we need a function, we have to return a result. What's this return result? Wow, it's a long line. Let's see what it is. Return TR, like a table row. This will get turned into a table row. Oh, I provided a key because we're doing an array. So it's a TR element, which is JSX. Nearly every HTML element has a corresponding JSX element. Okay, so anything you're used to using, you can use here. So table row, TR. Oh, TD. Oh, variable substitution, net ID. Here's another table data thing. First name, variable substitution. Another TD, last name. Oh, so I built up an array just of table rows. The professor, what about the table? Good idea, we need a table. Oh, let member table equals table, class name, my table. Oh, we're creating a table right here. From here to here, JSX element, okay. We put together the head here, okay. And then the body, what do? Oh, we substitute all the rows that we created here as an array. Wow, I'm impressed. I think that's really nice and easy. Okay, we've seen how to do this with vanilla JavaScript. Okay, wasn't too bad there. But remember, we're going to make bigger and bigger. So any single one thing we do with React, yeah, we can do it with vanilla JavaScript, but that's not the point. We're going to see the point coming up when we go to components. Okay, but this power, this ease that we can create something like a table, right? This is definitely not harder than it was with vanilla JavaScript, and it's going to be consistent with other things. Okay. Couple more things about JSX, and then we'll be finished with our initial tour of JSX. Okay. When we specify attributes, okay. Oops. Skip one. Attributes in JSX. When you specify attributes, you use either double quotes or you use a curly brace. Okay, but not both. React will take care of the the double quotes if you use something that's going to need double quotes around it. Okay, if this is a string, okay, if this is a URL, that's a string, then we'll make sure the double quotes get put around it. Okay, you don't have to. So you'll either use a literal, a string literal, in double quotes, okay, or you'll use braces, but not both. Attribute names. Okay, JSX is closer to JavaScript because it is an extension to JavaScript. Okay, so the when React works with things, it uses camel-cased property names instead of HTML attribute names. For example, class is a reserved or is a used keyword in JavaScript. Okay, so we can't use that like if we were going to set up CSS classes. Instead, we'll use class name. So that's one where we actually had to change what we were using because we already had something in JavaScript with the name of class. Okay, if we have, say, like an attribute tab index, which we use for inputs and those kind of controls sometimes, okay, instead of calling it tab index, we'd camel case it tab uppercase. Okay, we don't use hyphens in our properties, we glue them together. Okay, style, closely related is using style attributes. Okay, a style attribute is given a JavaScript object with styling information. I mean, this almost looks like CSS, but it's not, right? This is a JavaScript object. Display is a standard CSS property, okay? It's a single word, so that's okay. Justify content has a hyphen in it. And that's not allowed as in JavaScript, right? That would be a minus sign, right? So we go camel case it, okay? On the other side of things, though, where we give the property value, okay, that's just a string, so they can keep their name, right? That's just text, right? This is okay over here, okay? Font family instead of font dash family becomes font camel case family, okay? So we can, so two things going on. We've got attribute names, which we change a bit, and styling information. Now, how do we actually add the styling information? Okay. Let's open up that branch. Get check out JSX4. Run it. Parcel. Build it. I'm not doing deployment builds. I'm just doing development builds. Okay. When we do deployment, or we use builds, we'll actually get files that we can take and put on our server, meaning JavaScript, CSS, and HTML. Okay, it's different from the stuff that we wrote. It's what the bundler would put together for us. Okay, so what's going on here? Random number generator, and it's going to generate some random integer between 0 and 100. We're going to have a range. Oh, this is going to print out elements. Oh, chemical elements, atomic numbers. Oh, so we're using elements as elements. How confusing. Okay, with atomic number num through num plus range. Okay, variable substitution. Okay, what am I going to do here? Filter out only the elements we want. Okay, so I'm going to produce a new array from some kind of data that I have on chemical elements. Okay, I'm going to filter out those with atomic number in the range. Okay, so how does that work? You'll return true if you want to keep the element, it'll go into the new array, or false if you don't want it to be put into the new array. Okay. Oh, style. List item style. Display flex. Justify content space between. Font family. Okay, we're using those kind of rules. Oh, look at this. Filtered. This is the filtered information. Okay. It's going to produce. Oh, we're using map on it. So we're going to take the data that we already filtered down. We're going to map it. Oh, into a bunch of list elements. Each one of these things is going to get put into an array, so we need the key, okay, a list element, and each list element, oh, we just say style equals the style, and the style is an object. Oh, not bad, not bad. Okay, and then we're going to have number, name, symbol, atomic weight. Okay. Then we say element list. Oh, just the UL, list items, blah. Where does it get rendered? Section, intro, oh, the element list is this thing. Substitute in here. So we compose, built things up, used arrays, used filtering. Oh, let's take a look. Let's take a look. Ooh, nifty. Elements with atomic number 8 through 18. Number, name, symbol, atomic weight. I didn't say it was going to be beautiful, but we try it again. Oh, it starts from a different number. Okay. So we added some styling, not necessarily pretty styling, but styling nonetheless. Let's give it some more room. It'll probably flow nicer. Okay. So we're able to add in styling, produce, we're able to produce great displays from data simply. I didn't say it's pretty display. Easy to produce displays from data. Okay. So this is the power of JSX. Okay. We haven't combined these all into reusable pieces yet. That's coming next. But we've got conditional rendering, we've got arrays, we've got substitution and composition.